I thought we could all appreciate.
Yeah.
I'd say half of it's negative, right? So that's kind of a bad start. Reading that 2 of your 4 options are like, man, do I feel really bad about this, or just pretty darn bad? And that's not.
No, very negative approach to this. We're not going to say much good with it. We're just going to keep on
Come
going.
on, there's gotta be something good with it. I'll be the one person. At least, so we talked about some of these self-assessments in class on Thursday, and there were some absolutely horrible ones that, were racially kind of charged, if you will. At least these are like emojis. So you gotta take something positive away from that last one.
Have any of you seen the Garfield one? The Garfield Elementary Reading Attitude Survey. It's a really famous, popular, common what you give to elementary students to determine their attitude about reading. But it's 4 pictures of Garfield, and I think it's maybe the 3rd Garfield. Or no, it's the happiest Garfield actually looks like crazy. I mean, he has this huge smile and his hands are up and he's kind of shaking his head around. And I remember, a teacher who was trying it with the student, he would never pick that for anything. And he's like, well, I don't feel insane when I read a book. So that's why I didn't pick that, but I love to read. So he thought that one meant insane. So when I looked at with all self-assessments, when they're pictures, you have to give examples of what they mean because a kid's interpretation of the picture, or this one, oh, he looks hungry. Well, I don't feel hungry when I read on a sad day. Well, no, he's not hungry. He's supposed to look sad, but his perspective was hungry. So I thought that it's a good reminder to explain what the pictures mean to your students when you have little ones.
This is our 4th assessment. So over here on this side, it's little Lego heads. And down here, 0 is I get it, and 10 is that you don't understand it. And so then over on this side is the criteria, and you're supposed to check in the box how you feel with the criteria.
And just if you can't read it, on the far right, number 10, it says, "What are you blabbering on about?" Is an interesting piece that I jumped out at me. So what do you guys think?
I feel like it's flipped.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yes.
It's really weird that it's 0.
So you're giving yourself negative points.
Yeah.
Or 0 points if you understand something, 10 points if you
Yeah.
don't.
Well, that seems like a big range.
What also caught my eye, since I do a lot of rubrics in the art room, is the lack of criteria. So just down here where it says network security, I feel it would be almost better if it was explained a little bit more, or just a check mark like yes or no. Like yes, I've mastered it, or no, I don't. I just feel like there's way too much going on.
And so then this is the last one. All of these self-assessment skills, in my opinion, were more primary based. I think in my classes in high school, and I don't know that I would be able to use any of them per se, but this one, it's got a handful of skills, and it's easy, meaning you obviously have it, or help, meaning so you just circle one of those. What do you guys think about that?
I get the easy button.
Yeah.
The staples, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But color-wise, red screams any help.
That jumps into it. Yeah.
So.
Why is math randomly thrown in executive functioning skills?
Right.
Those aren't the same.
Like when I do homeroom stuff, I'm not going, oh, and can we talk about your numbers? Like we talk about lockers and stuff, so we just put it in there, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
All right, so we're gonna do self-reflections really quick. So getting through these as quickly as we can. So how it relates to my school settings in 6th grade, we work on a lot of goal setting and self-assessments just because that's a skill that they come in not having typically. They haven't really worked on that before. That's something that it's new to them, and they're in a totally new school. So for me, we work on trying to set goals. Even if it's my goal this week is to be able to open my locker and not come to Miss Wilson 3 times in a day crying because I don't know how to open my locker. That's a goal that I have. And so trying to get through goals that are manageable, but also how can they be effective in meeting those goals. So kind of getting to that point. So that's why it's relevant to my school setting. Some pros with it is that that's typically the goal with our 6th grade team is we're trying to set goals and kind of help them self-assess themselves so that they are successful, so that when they get up to the older grades, they're able and capable to do them themselves without support, because as they get older, they're more capable of taking ownership over their learning and they're able to be responsible more often. A con would be that it takes a lot of time. So a lot of the beginning of the year, it's going to take a lot of time to get them to that point. And I know even sometimes it gets to the end of the year, and you still don't have students that are there yet without support. So it's something that you have to be willing to take the time and be patient with everybody and your students just getting to that point. How you could take a leadership role would be that I could help set up like PD. So we can even do like breakout sessions, like an ed camp kind of situation, kind of talking to my principal about that, and how we could be possibly talking about self-assessments and kind of getting the buy-in from other teachers of why that's important to teach in middle school, because they really need that support and they need to understand those skills to kind of be successful as a person in general, basically. So.
All right, so for mine, my physical education class is very fitness-based, and so another example of goal setting that I've had in the class was I set up a marathon, half marathon club. Generally at the end of class, students have like 10 minutes to work out whatever they want to do, sort of their free time somewhat, but just for them to focus on a specific goal. And so during that time period, I let them keep track of how far they go on the treadmill, if they decide to do that. And if they can make it an extra, 13.1 miles or 26.2 miles throughout the semester, then they kind of earn some extra credit, just showing that they put in that extra time. Pros and cons, I think the pros, these goals really help motivate them. They start to feel accountable for their goals, and they're working hard towards them, whether it's that or the workout program. Cons of it, for physical education, the class period starts, they've got 5 minutes or so to change. Class period ends, they're still, you got to give them 5 minutes or so to change. And so all of a sudden, class is getting a lot shorter. This is the only class period of the day where they're not sitting in a desk. And so I sometimes feel obligated to make sure to get them up and moving around. And goal setting can take a lot of time, especially if you're going to set a meaningful goal. I mean, if you give one of your students one of those goal sheets, there's a good chance they're not filling it out in 10 minutes. And if they are, there's a very good chance it's not filled out properly. So it can take up a lot of time. And then how might I take a leadership role introducing this topic to my school setting? We have time each day within our department that we are able to talk with each other, and I think goal setting is very important and something that I would like to talk to the other teachers in my department. We don't have a set curriculum, but I think this is something that I could get them all to agree on that we need to implement at all different levels of physical education.
Being an art teacher, I'll talk more about how self-assessment relates in my classroom. Since I am project-based and like Vince, I don't have a curriculum. I'm creating curriculum all the time for my students. So a big part of what I do is I want them to be able to talk about their project and what they created and be able to talk about it with others. So we do a lot of self-reflection. We do a lot of self-assessment. And I don't want them to just give one-word answers. It's good, it's bad. So we kind of delve in a little bit more, and the overall goal is that by the end of the semester, they can talk with the group for 5 minutes about their project, 5-10 minutes, and explain this is where I started, these were the challenges. I thought I was going to use this color paint, but I decided I wanted to use pink because, and be able to tie in emotions and just make their overall vocabulary with the art room much more in depth. And then the pros and cons are getting, a con would be that at the beginning of the semester, especially with the 6th graders, they are coming from having art maybe a half an hour once a week to seeing me every day for 42 minutes. So we have a lot more time that we can spend on this. And so one of the cons is that I have to, walk them through just like anything step by step. This is how we're going to go through a gallery walk, and this is how we're going to start by talking about your projects. And with time, they do gain, the pro is that they do gain confidence, and throughout the semester, it's great to see the development of, in the beginning, they would just give little bits and pieces, but by the end,